Hello, and welcome back to GFF and Friends, the podcast. The podcast for when you're here, your family.
Aww.
Hi, I'm your host, GFF, aka Todd, and joining me is one of my oldest friends, one of my favorite people on the planet. You may know her as Deathbird.
Yeah.
Deathbird on X-Men 97. I know her as one of my oldest and dearest friends, and Lacey Bubbles. Give it up for Cari Kavanaugh. Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for doing the pod.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
It was so funny. I was thinking about it before you got here. I don't think I've seen you in like over 3 years. Like when I think you came to our going away party when we left LA,
yep,
right?
Yep. And then I said, see ya.
Yeah. And then we come back for such short bursts.
Yeah,
we never see anybody, and I feel bad.
No, don't feel bad.
But
it's okay.
It's so good to see you. You've been
to
so
see you
busy.
too. Yeah, living, working.
I figure we should start with our origin story.
Okay, yes.
So Cari and I met doing the Groundlings in 2006, 2007. Yeah. I moved here in 2006.
Yeah, so it must have been 2007.
Yeah, and I did background on film and TV as a job, and I went to school at the Groundlings to try to learn improv, and it was so fucking hard. But then, so there's different levels at the Groundlings, and basic is the first level, and I passed basic, and I made it in intermediate, and Cari was in my intermediate class, and we just hit it off right away. It was just one of those things where like, instant best friends.
Yeah.
And we've been friends ever since. And it's crazy to think that we've been friends for almost 20 years.
I know, right?
What?
Time flies by so fast.
How did that happen?
Right? When we met, my joints didn't hurt.
I know, right? I wasn't constantly out of breath.
Yeah.
Also, if you're watching on YouTube, we are filming I'm house sitting for Rob's family in Glendale, and we're filming in their little front room. So you're getting a very different angle of the pod. Like we're not behind a desk like normal. I mean, we're in some like very fancy, right? Very fancy leather chairs, lots of knees. Yeah. Got to make sure my balls don't fall out of my shorts, because that runs in my family. My dad's known as a testicle out kind of guy. Denny, put your balls away. But yeah, we're here on YouTube having a good time. It's very warm in LA right now. It's like 100 degrees. Yeah. It's crazy. But anyway, back to our origin story. So we met at Groundlings. And then, we were just comedy friends and friends for a really long time. And then I started working at a restaurant called Grub.
Yeah.
And then I got Cari a job at that restaurant called Grub.
Yeah. But the funny thing about Grub was that when I first moved to LA, I think I always tell this story, and then they would make fun of me at the restaurant for it, is that, when you move to a new city, you're trying to figure out where to live, you're trying to figure out where to work. And I remember like somehow ending up on this small little road, and I was like, oh my gosh, that restaurant is so cute, I want to work there. And then could never find it again. And then it wasn't until we became friends and you're like, oh yeah, I work at Grub. And I'm like, oh, wait, the little cottage on the back street. Yeah. And so, got a job there. And we had good times.
I think I worked there for like a year or two before you started. Yeah. And then I got fired for a Yelp review.
Oh.
Because somebody said I was mean to them. But it was for the best.
It probably was.
I didn't want to work in restaurants anymore anyway. Who needs money? I didn't need money.
Yeah.
But then you work there. I mean, do you still work with them ever?
No, they closed down.
Well, I know Grub is closed, but like they still cater and stuff.
No, I've given up on the waiting tables. It's too hard on the body. I was the struggle is that I was a really good server. Like I could sell you crap covered Brussels sprouts. Who mentioned number one on the podcast? No. Yep. You know what I mean? Like I was really good at it. I made a lot of money, but by the end of the day, it was like my feet friggin' hurt. I wanted to sleep for 2 days, and it was just like, once the pandemic hit and everything closed down, it was kind of like, okay, let's shift and readjust, and what are we going to do? Because even restaurants, it was like, unless you were doing food delivery, no one was going to restaurants or having catering parties or doing events. So
did Grub ever reopen as a restaurant?
No.
From the pandemic?
No, they shut it down, and now they just do catering.
Yeah. Because did they try to do takeout during the pandemic for a while? Or was it closed before the pandemic?
This is what was so crazy. So it was like they basically announced, you know what, we're gonna shut down the restaurant, and then like literally like a week later, pandemic hit and they shut the restaurant down.
That's
like it was
crazy.
like But I will say, because I did work in the in the restaurant, I was able to get some. There was all this like what is it called, like funding? Like there was all these grants and stuff for people. So I was so
the
grateful.
PPP loans and shit.
Yeah, I was so grateful for having worked in the restaurant, because they were like, "Hey, we get it. People are being laid off. You don't have a job. We can throw you $1,000 here, $1,000." I made out pretty good.
Okay, same. I talk about it all the time. Like, I missed the pandemic because I was thriving. I got so lucky.
Were rolling
Seriously,
in.
I got so lucky because, so what? Everything shut down in March. In February, I left NPR because I was working at NPR in Pasadena. I left NPR in February and was able to get unemployment. So I was already like in the unemployment system, registered, getting my payments.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit, and then they added all those bumps and everything. And like literally money started flowing into my account.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, I can't even register. The phones are always busy. The website is broken. And I was like, I got into the system just by like the skin of my teeth.
Yes.
And then I paid off all my credit cards.
Yes.
I got liposuction.
Oh.
Yeah, we can talk about it. It did not work. Don't get it ever. Liposuction is not worth it. Don't get it.
I'm getting some in a few weeks, but for a different reason.
It's terrible. But yeah, I mean, I miss the pandemic.
Yeah.
And also, like, Rob and I have become such homebodies. We stay
same.
home. We have our dog now,
Yes.
Ruby.
Oh,
we love
yes.
her. And we love our house. We love our, like, movie collection. We love our books and Legos.
Right?
Like,
why do you need to leave?
also, we've done everything.
Yeah.
You know, we've traveled.
I thought
We've had
about
all
this the other
food.
day. I was like, driving home one night for something, and I was like, I remember it was like getting ready to go out at 9:00 at night, and like, you remember like going to the clubs and dancing till like, 3 a.m, and I was just like, I could, people standing in line to get. First of all, I never stood in line for anything.
Ever.
I was like, I'm not going. You do not get blessed with my presence at your club.
Well, and also because we worked in the service industry, we knew everybody.
Yes.
So like we didn't have to wait in lines places.
we knew how to get in through the back where the deliveries came.
Yeah, we generally didn't have to pay for things, and we didn't have to wait in lines.
But I can't even imagine. I mean, maybe that's the circle of life, right?
Well, and I was thinking about that too. Like, is it because we're in our 40s, or is it because of the pandemic that we're all homebodies now? Like,
right?
Was it just like cosmic timing? Was this going to happen anyway?
Right. Well, then I start thinking about my parents. I'm like, were they homebodies at like 40? I mean, my mom, they were throwing parties in their 40s.
Yeah.
Like every weekend was like, but people came to the house.
Yeah.
Because we would, if you're going to do drugs, and we wanted you to do them in the house while I'm
She's
here.
a cool mom.
Because she's a cool mom.
She's a cool mom.
But it was, I think it's a little bit of both. I think pandemic definitely made me get used to.
Yeah.
Well, also too, I what is it called when you snuggle in? You
like cuffing season. You cuddled up. Caved up,
like you just like you get
up.
comfortable. You nest. That's the word. I nested. I was like, oh, and then you just get. You appreciate what you have.
Well, that's
and
the thing,
like,
you
and
met
also
your partner.
too, you have a great partner. So it was like, you're hilarious. I'm hilarious.
Yeah.
Why do we need anybody else?
Yeah, you have like 2 cats right now.
Oh, I have 5 cats.
Cari,
I am now an official cat lady. Well, 3 of them are on the inside, and 2 of them on the outside.
Yeah,
not crazy.
Did they just find you and you feed them?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
they were. I had these strays that came in, and they were super skittish and feral, and I was like, well, let me feed them. I work with this nonprofit organization called Lux Paws that does TNR in the LA area, and so the two additional cats that I have inside right now were kittens that this stray had brought to my yard, and so I got a hold of the rescue, and I was like, we need to get these kittens up off the ground. I'll foster them. I will deferalize them, which I'd never done before. I'm like, animal trainer.
I didn't even know that was possible.
Oh yeah. Had to wear like kitchen mitts to like. I was like, come here, Croaky, come here. Let me give you louse. You just like throw your love on these wild animals, and they're like, okay, I submit. And then when it was time for them to be adopted, Zach was like, my partner was like, we can't get rid of them. And I'm like, I won't stop you.
Yeah.
And
that's why we don't foster. Because we would foster fail every single animal.
There was one time I had an organization ask me to foster a puppy. I went to go pick up the puppy. There were 2 other puppies with that puppy. And I said, well, I guess I could take 2. And then I go, what's going to happen to the other one? They're like, we'll figure it out. And I was like, give me all 3. So Zach had agreed that I could bring 1 home. And I came home with 3. And then when it was time for them to be adopted, there was one that was like a blonde Tito. And I was like, we named him Marty, and he was like, I was like, I love him so much, and Zach's like, if you want him, we will keep him. You know what? Find yourself a partner
Yeah.
that will let you keep all the animals.
Just
Or
an enabler.
Just an enabler.
Yeah, that's
just
what I did.
straight up enabler. And we ended up actually getting all the dogs homes, but it's hard because
Yeah.
I've just got such a big
There's no,
heart.
I couldn't do it. I would just get attached unless it was like an asshole dog.
Yeah.
Like if they like chewed on everything and were like constantly messing in the house and stuff, I'd be like, get rid.
Yeah.
But if they were just like a sweet baby and I loved them, there's no way I could do it.
Yeah.
It's too hard. That's why we donate to an animal charity.
Yeah, that's
We're like,
good.
you can have our money, but you can't have our house.
You can't have our home.
Because we would just have 7 dogs. It would be too easy. But wait, so are you only cats right now?
I'm only cats right now.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
Because you were all dogs.
I was all dogs. I mean, I've always had all kinds of animals my whole
Yeah.
life. But after my one cat had passed, I was like, this was like years ago. I was like, I'm done. I'm done scooping the cat poo. I'm done dealing with the cat hair. I felt like I could breathe better. I was like, was I allergic? I thought it was the smog. No,
Yeah.
it was the cat hair. And then again, these animals, they find me. I don't ask for this.
Oh, that's the universe. Yeah.
Right? The universe is like, you need to have this. And I was going to visit Charlotte, couldn't find parking near her house, parked a block away. As I'm walking up to her house, this little black kitten pops out of a freaking bush. She's like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, where's your mommy?
Yeah.
No one around. Charlotte comes around and goes, where the hell are you doing? You should have parked next to my, and she's like, whose cat is that? And I was like, I don't know. It just came in a bush. She's like, it's yours now. Came home with a black cat.
You still have it?
Yeah, Tootsie. Yeah.
Oh, I had a Tootsie growing up. She was a lesbian and ate her kittens. Convinced she was a lesbian cat because every time she had kittens, she would eat them. But that's so funny because so I guess was Tito the last?
Tito was the last dog I had, and it's like
Tito Burrito Taco Tuesday?
Oh my gosh, when you have a dog that's so special,
He was magical.
oh my gosh, it's like I don't know if I could. No, let's just say this. I'm like, as I have a stroke, I am on all the animal rescue TikToks, websites. Zach is like, if you show me one more beautiful dog, we're done.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, look at this one. I'm like, this one. Now, I have picked out my next dog's name is going to be Clem Fandango.
Is he a spy?
Doesn't he sound like it?
Yeah.
It's from the Toast of London. Matt Berry. Clem Fandango is a sound engineer, and every time he goes to talk to him, he's like, "I can't hear you, Clem Fandango." But I also think that would be really fun to like yell after your dog. And we saw this one dog. It had like one of those underbites with like the tooth coming through the lip, and I was like, that is definitely a Clem Fandango.
Oh, for sure.
But we're not there. I have 5 cats.
Yeah, right.
I need to get a bigger house. I need to,
Yeah, you need more space.
Yeah.
Before that, we were the same way when Braddock died. Braddock died at peak of pandemic in 2020, and she was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like aging pugs at the end of their lives are a lot of work, and obviously we weren't going to like put her down.
Yeah.
We were like going to work with her through the through the geriatric. But she was a full-time job, and so after she went, we had like pandemic trauma of her passing, and we were considering moving at that point.
Yeah.
And so we didn't get a new dog in LA, and we just missed her so much, and we felt guilty. We didn't want to replace her.
Yeah.
But then we got to LA, got settled in, or we got to Seattle and settled in, and that's when we were like, okay, it's time for a dog.
Yeah.
And Ruby was the first dog we met.
Yeah. She looks so special.
The very first meeting, which I think was on like a Saturday or something, Rob and I had gotten in a fight on the way to meet her. So our energy was already just shitty.
Yeah.
And I think she picked up on that. And like we met her at a foster's house, and like she like nipped me a little bit at one point and was very kind of standoffish and guardy. And
you are a very tall man.
Right.
I was just like, what
and she was
the
being,
hell?
and she is, she loves women. And so like everyone at the rescue was women and stuff like that. So she was always kind of standoffish to men. And, so we went home, we talked about it, and we were like, let's give her one more chance because she was a very sweet baby. And we went back, and then she fell in love with us. And then it was,
And then that's the history.
our family. Yeah. But I will say that like once that new dog comes along,
Yeah.
you're not going to forget about Tito.
No.
But like that guilt and stuff goes away.
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
quickly.
yeah, yeah.
And then you'll just have a new baby.
And then I'll
in your
have a new
life.
baby.
But you can't be like Denise.
Oh my gosh, no! and that's what I kind of feel like. It's funny when I started working with this rescue, and I had I had Tootsie, and I was like, "That's good. I'm good with the one cat." And then I was fostering the other 2 kittens, and I went to some event, and I'm talking to some woman. And I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "I've got 3 cats," and she's like, "I've got 11." And I went. I was like, that is my future. I can't, but
it's so easy to animal hoard. Denise is our former boss. She owned Grub, the restaurant where they worked at, but then like she became family, she was our boss, but then she was also our family. And Denise is a dog hoarder.
She loves, and
how many does she have now?
I don't know. She's out in Arkansas now, and but when she
left
moved,
LA?
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah.
When did she leave LA?
Like right after the pandemic.
Well, that's funny because that was her 5-year plan.
Was it?
Did she divest from catering?
I don't know if she's still. I don't know what the deal is with her.
So the thing with Denise is she was from Arkansas, and she's about like 15 years older than us, and she is just the silliest, kookiest lady. Very Arkansas, but she lived in LA forever.
Yeah.
Obviously owned a restaurant and a catering business, very successful. But I think right before we moved, the last time I saw her, she said like her 5-year plan was to divest from the catering company and sell everything and move back home to Arkansas and just like live the rest of her life at home around her people. And she did it. I'm so glad that she did it. Because we text, but it's only about the animals. So I didn't know she moved.
She's there. I mean, and the thing about Denise is that she has such a big heart of gold that she would like
Seriously.
adopt and foster and then end up adopting these like elderly animals or birds that like had like one wing, like or there was a squirrel that fell out of the tree and she was like covered in scratch marks. Like, this is my baby squirrel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have a squirrel now?
I brought her a rat that she raised for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because one day I was walking into the restaurant and I found a baby rat who someone had run over its tail, so its tail was all gnarled, and it was a baby. I mean, it was this. What do we call him?
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember.
Dodgy.
Oh yeah.
Right, because he barely missed. He barely missed the truck, and like he was a baby like the size of a golf ball, and I brought him into the restaurant and we like put him in a shoebox, and Denise just like instantly took him to the vet, and they got him cleaned up, and then she
thousands
raised
of dollars on a street rat,
on a
sewer rat,
and she raised him for 2 or 3 years. And she had a pigeon.
Yes,
for a while.
Yes,
yeah. She's very much a animal rescuer of animals that fall out of trees.
Yes,
and you're like that animal should have been given to God.
Yes,
but instead Denise will spend $10,000.
Breastfed it.
Yeah, but you know what? The world needs people like that.
It really does.
Needs more people like that than the other kinds.
Yes, exactly.
But I'm so glad that she's in Arkansas now. That makes me happy. I need to text her because the last time we talked was when I think Fern. Like Denise had 1 million dogs, but my favorite dog of hers was Fern. She was just the cutest little nugget. And she texted me that Fern had passed. But yeah, wait, I'm glad we brought it down to animal death.
And
let's bring it back up and talk about one of the funniest nights of our lives. I think about this story all the time, and we talk about this story all the time. The night that we got abandoned in West Hollywood.
Oh my gosh.
So, if you can believe it, there was a time when Uber and Lyft didn't exist.
You had to rely on friends.
This is probably like 2009.
Yeah.
It had to have been. I mean, I
was in my like pre-lesbian era.
Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
I feel like Lyft and Uber didn't exist at all.
No,
like,
it didn't. No, it was like taxi. You'd have to call a taxi.
It was taxi only, or friends. And we went out for a night of debauchery in West Hollywood, and we parked in a valet lot that we did not know closed. And it's like the kind that takes your keys.
Yeah.
So
they take your keys. They put a chain on the parking lot.
And they locked. Like the lot was locked. And it wasn't even that much later. I think we decided to get like food after the bar closed or something, like pizza.
It wasn't like it was like 5 a.m. or something.
No, it was like 2:30.
Yeah.
We go back to the car. Like the valets are all gone. Everything's locked up, and my car's just sitting there. And I was like, what the fuck? So then we call our friend Jackie, who had like not gone out with us that night. Or she did for a little bit, but like left or something. I don't remember. No, she wasn't with us at all.
No, she didn't come out that night.
She wasn't with us at all. And like the thing about Jackie, we won't say her last name because we're about to talk shit. But the thing about Jackie is like, she was that type of friend that you do so much for.
Yeah.
And then
The one time
you're like, we're not
you
even
call at 2:30 in the morning.
We're not even trying to like cash in on anything.
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what? We're abandoned. She lived close by. She had a giant car. It's like, hey, can you come pick us up and bring us home? And we called her, and she answered the phone.
She did.
But you could tell she was asleep. And I want to say she literally just said, just call a cab, and hung up on you.
Yeah, that's basically what she did. Call a cab, click.
Yeah.
And I was like,
so then we're having like a rage stroke in the middle of like quiet West Hollywood because everyone's gone. Yeah. And then we call Irene, who I'm seeing on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
And we call Irene, and Irene is like one of the most ride or die people you'll ever meet. And you could tell she was passed out.
No, I think she was drunk.
We found out later. Okay. We did find out later.
I think she was blackout wasted. And was like, I'll be right there.
Yeah. But she had already passed out for the night. Yeah. So, I think she was like still kind of actively drunk, which we didn't know. Yeah. But also, we were like, what, 28? We didn't care.
Yeah.
Kids don't do what we did.
We don't promote that.
We don't promote drunk driving.
There's Ubers, there's Lyfts. Don't be Justin Timberlake.
But Irene came and picked us up and drove us back to the valley and dropped us off. And then, after that, we found out she was like, I was drunk. And we're like, well, we made it.
Yeah.
But that was I think about that night all the time because I was like, it's almost like when you watch an old movie and they're like, if cell phones had just invented, this whole movie would be moot. If Uber and Lyft had just existed, we would have been fine. But instead, we got abandoned in a parking lot in West Hollywood.
Yeah. And I don't think I ever really fully got over that.
We didn't. We did not let it go.
I think that was the end of our, was the beginning of the end of our friendship.
Like when you play those, I forget what they're called. Rob plays them, but it's a type of video game like where you can make different decisions, and then when you make a decision, it'll be like, this character will remember this, and it's like, that's what happened when Jackie abandoned us. This character will remember this. You know what's so
crazy? And I assume that she's not going to watch this, but was that years later I got invited to do a charity event.
There's a sequel
where she was we're doing stand up in front of all these people.
Wasn't it in like Malibu or something?
Yeah. It was like, and she gets done with her set and she's like, actually, I'd like to take this moment to apologize to you, Cari. And I'm thinking,
in your introduction, wasn't it?
Yeah. Before I went up to go do my set, she was like, in this next comic coming up, I just want to take a moment to apologize to you. And then she like apologized. I was like, oh my God, she's going to admit to like not being a good friend when I like needed her in a time of like drunken need or whatever. Right. And she apologized for something else. And then like, basically I had to be like, I forgive you. It was so weird. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to go do my set.
Yeah, I'm going to do 10 minutes of stand up after that awkward apology.
But I was like, you're not even like, what are you? What are you apologizing for?
Yeah, it was just the weirdest thing. Yeah. And we were like, all right. Yeah. See ya.
But it's all right. See ya. Yeah.
That's just part of aging.
I think so.
What is it? People come into your lives for a season or a reason?
Reason, not a season. Or
something.
Yeah. Put it on a shirt.
There was a reason.
There was a reason. There was a season.
We don't hang out with lesbians anymore. The good old days.
Good old days. Yeah.
So what I wanted to talk about now is like what you're up to now, because you do so much voiceover and stuff now. Yeah. And that's so great because just like Rob, I feel like I was telling you for years that you need to get into voiceover because you do voices so well, and you have such a voice made for voiceover. Like you could do such great characters and stuff.
Oh, thank you.
And you got into it with our friend Charlotte, right? Like she got you into it.
She was the one who. So Charlotte was another friend of mine that I met at the Groundlings. Shout out to the Groundlings. Please sponsor this podcast.
Seriously, bringing people together since 1992.
And she was taking a voiceover class and was like, "Oh my gosh, Cari, you have to come." And this is for you.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I'll come audited the class, and then was like, can I write you a check right now for the rest of the class? Like, it was so much fun. And, being in the entertainment industry for so long, it was all about, it is all about how you look, what you're following. And like, I can't tell you the amount of time I wasted in my youth thinking like, I got to lose 20 pounds before I get my headshot. Whereas like with voiceover, I get to go in looking like whatever, you know.
Well, a lot of it's like work from home, so you don't even have to get dressed.
Yeah, and with the pandemic, it really threw me into it because it was like, well, I'm not doing anything else. So I was able to like build out a booth at my house, and I was able to, you know, create a demo and just work on it. And it didn't feel like work. It was like the first time where I'm not having to memorize pages of like,
that was always my biggest thing, is like going into auditions, having to be off book, one page of dialogue, but still it's so nerve wracking because you're doing it all alone.
Yeah.
And so you can just do it all at home, which is and it's such a treat.
So much fun. So it's it was like I was doing a little bit of it. What's crazy too, though, is that when I was working as an office manager for this ad agency, they would ask me to come in and do the scratch for like their Quaker Oats, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And they were like, you should do voiceover. Like everyone was like, you should do voiceover. I'm like, what is that? Okay, you know. And then it wasn't until I went into that class that it was like, oh, mama's hooks.
What's the audition process like? Like, how do they send you sides and you read them and send them back? Is it just like a regular audition?
Pretty much. Yeah. You'll get the sides. You'll get a spec. It's interesting. Sometimes you'll do callbacks. Oh, I could tell you this one story. I was auditioning for this cartoon, and I did the audition at like in my dad's closet. It was for this like weird kind of like, you know, he's like a young kind of kid who's sounding kind of Swedish or whatever. I don't know. And got a call back, and they wanted to do it in over Zoom, but like in person. Yeah. And so it was like me and the casting director, and then like all these other like black boxes like on the screen that were all like their executive producers. And I'm like, okay. And I just felt like they just didn't know what they wanted. Like they liked my audition. They loved my character that I created off of, you know, sometimes they'll give you a drawing of like, this is what the character's going to look like. Sometimes they're just like, he was born in, you know, 2087 and he's got 4 arms and he's, you know, his father was killed, you know, whatever the specs are. And so you'll do the audition, you'll send, you know, sometimes it's an actual piece of the script. Sometimes they're just like one-off lines like, you killed my father. Yeah. I don't know, darling. You think you'd like to have milk in your coffee? And you're like, what is going on in this fucking cartoon? Anyway, so this audition that I did, the casting director is giving me like, it's okay. She was like, that was great. And, you know, and you can see him being like, like off screen, like getting notes from the other people. And they're like, okay, so we want you to say this line like you don't care. Like it's just reading the back of a cereal box, but it's Christmas morning. And I'm like, so am I excited? Am I bored? Basically, the audition turned into, it reminded me of the time when I auditioned for Cal Shakes, and it was like a last minute audition for this Shakespearean theater company up in the Bay Area. And it's like, I basically memorized like this dramatic Shakespearean monologue to go into the audition. And then when I went into that audition and I went to start, and it was like, to be and I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, can I start over? And they're like, of course. So you take a moment and you're like,
you just get like full mush mouth.
Like I literally did that in the audition. And then I went, thank you. And I left. like, that was kind of what this cartoon, it was like, I'm living this again. But so sometimes you have callbacks. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just get booked straight to the role, which is awesome.
Just off like prior work?
No, well, yes and no. So sometimes you just audition, you send it in, and they go, and clients like, we love you. Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
but
that's a dream.
I've had, you know, in this business, I've created relationships with certain people where they're just like, we want Cari for that. And so I just get called in and I get to do that. And I'm like, oh, I love that. And I love, you know, I just love doing it. And I get to do all of it. Like the dubbing. Oh, dubbing is big now. Like,
are you a voice match for anybody? Like, have you gotten into voice match?
Yes, I've done Olivia Colman.
Really?
Yeah, I get a lot of. I get a lot of. What's her name? Helen Mirren. And what's it? Kate Blanchett.
That's fun.
In a world where there were 4 rings. You know, I don't know, whatever it is. And who else? Oh, Jennifer Tilly.
Oh,
Googly bear.
Yeah, however she sounds.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I did a Megan Mullally. I got a Megan Mullally one the other day too. Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah. So it's fun, like getting to just play and do stuff. I took a class with the guy who basically casts Disney voice matches, and that was fascinating because it's just like there's a whole musicality to like impersonating people and sounding like them. And so especially people are going to watch this podcast and it's like, she doesn't sound like any of those people. What is she doing?
You can't just do it on the spot, you guys.
Yeah, you guys. I have to practice.
It takes training. But that's funny. Your Shakespeare story reminded me of that guy. Remember when you were at the community college and you were taking classes and you did that show, but you had to like read a poem in class or something, and that guy got up and he was reading like a 4th of July poem or something? You remember?
No.
Because I say this word, I say it like this all the time. And this is your story. But you were in class and this guy got up to read his poem in front of class and he said, freedom. And he like made this weird guttural sound like he lost his breath or something. And we used to say it all the time because like that's how I say freedom now. Freedom. And it was not part of the poem. He just said it like that. And he did it again. He was like, freedom. And we used to laugh about that all the time.
Oh my God. You know what's so funny is that I think about this as I'm getting older. Like people be like, remember when you did this? Remember when you did that?
It's
and I'm
just
like,
gone.
There are like, I can't figure out for the life of me how my cat Luther died or got kidnapped when I like in like 2003. I'm like, whatever happened to Luther? Like I was like, did he run away?
How did that cat go out?
I don't remember him dying. Like, I'm just like,
yeah, where's this
like,
shit
there's
going?
things that I'm just like, I don't remember. People are like, remember when you did? I'm like, no.
Well, I don't know about your partner, but the problem with Rob, I love you dearly, babe. He has a steel trap memory.
Oh, yeah.
And remembers every single thing.
Yeah.
And to a point of frustration when I don't remember things. Yeah. And like, it's not even short term or long term. It's just different things. He'll be like, well, remember when you said that you don't like bananas? And I was like, when did I say that? He was like, well, it was like 8 years ago and you said it one time. And I was like, you remembered that? Well, I like bananas now. Yeah. I don't know why you remembered that. But yeah, to the point where I'm like, can you stop remembering everything all the time? Because I'm forgetting it.
Go. Yeah,
I'm losing it.
Yeah. Freedom.
Freedom. And then he started over. Freedom. So yeah, like every 4th of July, or whenever I see the word freedom, I'm always just like, freedom.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah. But we could literally talk for hours about all the shit we've been through. Like, I wanted to say earlier, talking about pets, you grew up in a house of what, 5 wiener dogs? Or your family had 5 wiener dogs? And I didn't know until like, those were the first wiener dogs ever in my life. I didn't know that they were like the most violent dog breed or whatever, but they were like lovers. They were so squidgy and fun, except for Rudy.
Yeah. Rudy.
Whenever I hear the name Rudy, like one time we were playing with all the dogs at Cari's mom's house in Bakersfield, and Rudy just bit Cari really hard. Yeah. And you just went, fuck you, Rudy. So whenever I hear someone named Rudy or hear the name Rudy, I just go, fuck you, Rudy. And you just laugh. It's so funny. Good times.
Oh, so fun.
Well, I think this is a perfect time to transition into our final segment.
Oh, great.
Which is called What's Your Order?
Ooh.
And it has a theme song. What's your order? What's your order? If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that. Normally we have like a shoebox.
Oh, yeah.
Or currently we're using a Beetlejuice Book of the Dead tin that I got.
Yes.
But here in Glendale, we're using a used takeout container that probably had soup in it. And it contains America's favorite fast food restaurants. Ooh. Another thing for the audience, we're starting over now that I'm in LA. I just put restaurants back in here because we've gone through every restaurant, every food. Yeah. So like we're like struggling to find things for the box. But I restarted. So these are just fast food restaurants, and you're going to pick one out.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about what your order is.
Oh, okay.
So, without further ado,
now you'll get to
get this thing open.
Expose what a fat ass I really am.
All right. Choose your restaurant.
Okay.
And your restaurant today is...
Ooh, Jack in the Box.
Jack in the Box.
Ooh, I would say I would definitely do a sourdough Jack.
Okay, that's Rob's fave.
Yeah, with curly fries.
Oh, yeah.
A Coke.
Uh-huh.
And 2 tacos.
Which is one order. They're so fucking hard to order because one order is 2 tacos.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Can I please get one order of 2
tacos?
Yeah, right. Can I please get one order of 2 tacos? Yeah. It's the weirdest ordering experience ever.
And I heard that like the meat that's in those tacos is like plastic or something.
It's not even animal.
delicious.
Yeah, right?
And I will eat it.
Don't deny yourself joy because of science.
Yes.
Okay? Don't deny yourself joy of preconceived notions of what you've been told about food. If it tastes good, just
it's
eat
going
it.
in my mouth.
I feel like Jack in the Box, when I lived in LA, was my number one drunk food.
Yeah.
Because they're 24 hours.
Yes.
Generally, and all drive-thrus.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Jack in the Box is a big drive-thru in LA.
Yeah. No,
Because I lived, when I first met Cari, I lived in Sherman Oaks. There's a ton of Jack in the Boxes over there. So I would always get Jack in the Box after a night of drinking.
What would you get?
So for the longest time, my go-to Jack in the Box is I think it's called the Ultimate Cheeseburger. It's like a double cheeseburger, and it's just cheese and then mayonnaise, ketchup, and mustard. That's it. It's just sauce and cheese.
Yeah.
And it's gooey and delicious. And then I like Jack in the Box's regular fries, so I just get the regular fries and a Coke Zero, because I think Jack in the Box has the Coke Freestyle machines.
Ooh.
Maybe, so you can get whatever you want.
Yeah.
But we're a Coke Zero family, so
I know we've switched
my
over
favorite.
to Coke Zero.
It's the best.
It's really good.
And like all the Zero drinks, Dr. Pepper Zero, so good.
Yeah.
Mountain Dew Zero, the best. Because they're all made with, I think the Zero brand of diet sodas are Splenda.
Okay.
And that's what I drink in my coffee. So it just
It's an easy transition.
Tastes more like sugar than anything else. So I am the heaviest I've ever been in my life.
Same.
But I'm
Cheers.
drinking Splenda. But you know what? I'm drinking Splenda.
Yeah.
And I have done that for 20 years, but it's a step in the right direction. There was something about Jack in the Box. Oh, Jack in the Box also did breakfast 24 hours, remember?
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming they still do. So yeah, I love Jack in the Box's sausage, egg, and cheese croissants.
Oh, yeah.
They're so buttery and delicious. I can eat them all the time.
Because I think that every time I would go, he was like, "Give me a sourdough jam."
You're drunk.
Yeah.
Also, when we lived in Fairfax, there's a Jack in the Box right there by the Grove.
Oh, yeah.
And so in the pandemic, that was like our number one. Jack in the Box and Chipotle was our number one DoorDash. We ordered everything delivered.
You
in the
basically
pandemic.
kept those companies alive.
Seriously. Now in our neighborhood in Seattle, we live in a neighborhood that's very remote from everything.
Okay.
We live like the farthest west point of Seattle, in the like practically in the water. And in our little village of our neighborhood, there's nothing. There's a Subway, and that's it. But like the closest, there's like a Starbucks drive-through, but the closest restaurant drive-through of McDonald's is like you have to go over a drawbridge, cross the water.
I'm paying someone to bring it to me then.
Right? It's almost excuse me. It's almost like a 40-minute round trip to get McDonald's.
No.
Yeah. And we have tried DoorDash with it like 3 or 4 times. Failure every time.
It's not
too
the
far
same.
away.
It's not the same.
They always do like multiple orders, and ours is always last on the list. And by the time it gets,
It's all
everything's
cold.
ice cold. The ice is melted.
No.
They forget shit every time.
One thing I have really appreciated, not Jack in the Box, but I think they're doing it too, is Burger King just sent us a sheet of coupons.
Yeah, they always do the coupons.
Oh.
It was always
I'm a coupon clipper now.
it was like KFC, Subway, and Burger King always do like tons of coupons.
Yeah. Now I'm getting Pollo Locos on the bandwagon.
Is Pollo Loco still open?
Yeah.
Oh, I love a Pollo Loco. I miss it.
Yeah.
That's such a good, like, if you just want just like fresh chicken and vegetables as a side. It was kind of like Kookaroo, but
yeah.
Which it's coming back.
Yeah.
I heard Kookaroo's coming back. But the only problem is, I know I said I don't want to talk about gross stuff on the podcast, but I have like a food. I think I had a stomach flu coincidence with Kookaroo. So like
now
in
you
my
associate
brain,
it with it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't think I got food poisoning from Kookaroo, but I ate Kookaroo and then I was very sick.
Well,
and
that's
so
why I don't eat it at Birds anymore. We got horrific food poisoning, and we would eat there all the time. Delicious chicken. Delicious. Birds. Never again.
Really?
Never again. This was like, what year is it now? 2020. It's been 4 years.
Oh, like it was in the pandemic.
It was during the pandemic.
Did they survive the pandemic? Is it still open?
They're still there. Yeah. And I think La Poubelle's still there and everything. Yeah.
Because we used to go there all the time.
Yeah,
that was like one of Denise's favorites.
Yeah. I loved Birds, but not anymore. I mean, I still love them, but I'm just like, once you have a physical, am I seeing God now? Yeah. I'm not eating a freaking wing.
With Lola's.
Yeah.
When you worked at Lola, I had the meatloaf and then I got like sick And I had to go home. Remember? You probably don't remember, but that was also the night that burned me on fresh baked cookies. I can't do warm cookies because of that night.
Wow.
Because Lola, so Cari worked at this restaurant called Lola's, which is went away forever ago. But I loved, like, Lola's had the really good food. It was a martini bar with a really great kitchen.
Great mac and cheese.
And
fresh baked cookies. You get a plate of cookies.
And it's where Cari worked before I got her a job at Grub. Yeah. And they had like the best calamari Caesar salad. I used to just crave it all the time and go in and be like, Cari, you working? I'm coming in for the salad. But one night we went to dinner and we were like drinking, having dinner, having a good night out. And Cari was working. She was serving us. I had the meatloaf, which was delicious. I loved the Lola's meatloaf. And then she brought out the tray of warm cookies, ate them. And then I started to feel just a little like, I don't feel so good. And then I had another drink. And then I was like, I'm sweating. I'm shaking. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
You guys, I gotta go. And so I called a cab and went home. And then proceeded to be sick for like 2 days of just like bedridden, sickish. And I was like, I don't know if it was Lola's, but that was the last thing that I ate.
1 + 2 = 3.
Yeah. And my brain, it just tattooed on my brain, that place will make you sick.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I miss that calamari Caesar. Oh, that was so good.
Oh, I missed it. The mac and cheese there, which I was like, I'd go and watch the chefs. I'm like, and then you do that, and then you do that. So now I have the best mac and cheese.
Yeah.
But we do it with a little chimichurri. So good.
Well, I did that with Grub too, because I loved working at Grub. I worked there for 5 years, and it was owned by 2 women. One of them was on Top Chef. She's the one that fired me. And but the food was so good. It was. They called it California comfort food, and it was just like comfort food elevated. It was fresh, but also rich and delicious. And I memorized all those recipes, so I make all my favorites. I make the bacon all the time. It was called crack bacon. I've made the recipe on TikTok if you've seen it. But yeah, I memorized all the recipes. I make the bacon, the tomato soup, the grilled cheese, the tuna melts. The only recipe I never got, and I regret, I don't even know if it was still there when you started working there, but they had this chicken pesto sandwich where the pesto was made out of ground up almonds. Oh. And I think it was like ground up almonds, basil, mayonnaise, something else, but it made this almost like Play-Doh type paste that they would put on the sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
And then the grilled chicken that was on everything. And I think it had like roasted peppers and something else. Oh, yeah. Anyway, it was just like the best. It was very popular. And Betty took it off the menu because it had so many ingredients that were only that sandwich. And it was like, it's taking up too much space in the kitchen. Everyone loved it. And like, they lost customers when they took that off the menu because people came in just for that sandwich. But, that was so good. And that's the only recipe I never got. I'm sure Denise still has it. I could probably
I bet you could ask her.
But yeah, I make the soup every winter.
Yeah.
It's so good. The best tomato soup ever. What else was so good from there?
I liked the chicken Caesar wrap was great, and they do it with those little cheese coins.
The Parmesan crisps. Yeah. Yes. I try to recreate that. I don't do the like pistachios and stuff, but we do make that Caesar wrap, and I make the hot chick salad all the time.
Oh, yes.
And I make it into a wrap. Oh, I recently started doing the Brie BLT wrap. Oh. That's so
many
good
things.
So good. And it's funny. I think I was very burned by getting fired from Grub. So I didn't go. But like, literally my family owned it and worked there. Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to stay away for long. And the food was too good. Yeah. So, because the other thing is they were known for their breakfast and brunch on the weekends. I was going to say
the breakfast, doing the croissant French toast.
Yeah. It was the type of restaurant that people would wait an hour for a table. There was a line out the door, like constant wait list. We worked brunch. We would walk with like $300 in tips. Easy. And it was fun. Like it was a fun place to work. Like you worked with your best friends, and like you'd get like, I remember I met Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson there for the first time. I had to lie to him and tell him that we grilled our chicken because we would kind of like pre-bake the chicken, and I'm like, just put it on the grill, just put it on the sear it. That was the day he came in. Yeah. He came in. He was literally walking in the door as I was walking out the door with food, and so we passed, and like we're pretty much the exact same height. Yeah. And that was the day I was like, his skin is perfect. His teeth are perfect. His eyes are perfect.
That's the day I fell in love. Yeah. I fell in love with him.
He literally looked like he was carved out of
marble
human.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
just,
was just
gorgeous
beautiful.
like that. I didn't know those colors existed on a person.
Yeah.
And his teeth were so white, and he was so nice. Like, and even when he left, he was like, "Thank you." He goes like, "Thank you so much, Cari. I had such a good time." And I'm like,
He learned my name. Yeah.
Like,
He was such a sweet
just
man.
so nice. I was like, I didn't never watch wrestling. Was never a big fan,
No.
and now
And
will
it was
have
like
all
kind of
your
the
babies.
dawn of his transition into full-time actor.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the thing too, is Grub. So it was in a house. It was literally just
Yeah.
in a house, like in the mix of all these studios in Hollywood. So we pretty much like catered to and served all industry people.
Yeah.
And we got so many celebrities. It was directly across the street from an audio mixing studio,
Yeah.
Todd. And so everyone would do their ADR and their dubbing and stuff
And then
across
they'd
the street.
come in and have
so,
oh my god, a crack burger, the jalapeno burger that they used to do.
God, the truffle burger.
Oh, truffle. Oh, so good.
But yeah, I make the breakfast potatoes or just potatoes.
Yeah.
I make the potatoes all the time, and the scrambles, the bacon tomato cheddar scramble was my favorite. I make that all the time. The croissant
This has
French
turned into a
toast.
food podcast.
Seriously.
All the things we like to eat.
Oh God. But yeah, so Grub was right across the street from Todd, and so like directors would do all their final edits and stuff of audio and then come in. So like I served Quentin Tarantino a couple times. The guy who directed Scream, I can never remember his name. Clive?
Oh, Clive. No.
No.
What? Clive? No, I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, the guy who directed Scream.
If I saw him, I could point him out in the lineup. Yeah.
I met Drew Barrymore a couple times.
Kylie Minogue.
Yeah, Zac Efron.
Yeah.
That was another one. Zac Efron came in and I waited on one time and he was just so beautiful in real life. I was like, it's creepy how pretty you are in real life. Same with Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore was so sweet. And like, everybody was such a good tipper. Working the brunch shift, we would open at 8, didn't we? Didn't we open at 8 a.m.?
I think we had to be there. No, 9. I think we opened at 9.
Did we? But it took an hour to set up.
I don't know. I was always late.
We were always late and we were always hungover.
Yeah.
But it was such good money and it was so fun because we were hungover and we were also serving people that were hungover or like ready to pop off.
Yeah.
Because we also had really good champagne cocktails and stuff. And so like, it felt like a party vibe.
And you were done by 4:00 max. Like you were like, we closed at 3.
Yeah.
We were out of there.
Checkout was super fast.
Super
and then we would have
easy,
family meal and eat together.
Yeah.
That was the thing too. Like it was the type of restaurant that always had family meal every day.
Yeah.
So we would sit down and
laugh and
eat and
do our money.
Talk about all the bad tables we had to serve and stuff like that. And also it was such a family vibe that like we would start drinking ourselves and then we would day drink and then go out after work.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people would come in from other restaurants and eat breakfast at Grub and they'd be like, oh, I'm a server, at this restaurant, at Birds or whatever. Come in and I'll hook you up. And so then we'd get off work and then we'd go sit in their section and they'd wait on us and then we'd get free drinks. I highly recommend if you move to LA, the job you should get into as a day job is waiting tables. It's so hard. It will crush your soul.
Yes.
It will strip your liberalism away from you so quickly. You'll get it back. But like all of your empathy will go away.
Yeah.
But you will meet the best people that to work with and to serve.
Yeah.
And you'll have the best stories. So I think I would definitely do it again.
Oh, I would too. Yeah.
Even knowing I would get fired. Yeah. I deserved it.
Yeah.
I deserved it. And I needed to get out of there. Because like
sometimes
I said, it will
just need
crush
the
your soul.
universe to just,
it will
give you a
crush your
push.
soul.
Yeah, push you out the nest.
Well, Cari, thank you so much for doing the podcast and coming all the way over to Glendale.
Yeah,
it's so good to see you. And like, I'm here for 2 weeks, so we'll definitely hang out again.
Yeah,
I want to meet Zach. I've never met Zach.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna love him.
I'm excited.
Oh, you're gonna love him.
How long have you guys been together?
6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because he didn't live with you for the first couple of years, did he?
No. Oh no, he moved in right away. No, I had promised myself,
just like all of your other pets,
right? Well, no, right, like all the other people, things I adopt. It was like his rent right after the pandemic, right? Like maybe 2019 we started dating, and 2020 he moved in right before the pandemic, and then we were stuck with each other. But
that happened to so many people, but it worked.
But he just is the best, and he makes me laugh like nobody. Like all we did was just laugh, and we're like, look at all these people breaking up. We're here eating takeout and laugh until our sides hurt, and so we've just been with each other ever since. Like he's just the best.
I need to meet him. Where can people find you? Like what social medias do you prefer? Where do you want to be found?
Usually I'm on Instagram, although I need to post more. I do have some stuff on TikTok, but yeah, follow me Follow me on Instagram at Cari Kabanoff and
spell it because it's
at AT squiggly line circle CARIKABINOFF, like cabin, like a cabin house with a K, off not on.
Yeah, there you go. Off, not on. That's like Rob. Rob's last name is Ondarza, and he tells people it's like the Christmas song on Dancer, on Prancer, on Darza.
On Darza.
Yeah, that's how you remember it. Well, thank you so much. Also, if you guys want to hear Cari's voice in her work, she's in X-Men 97 again, like I said, as Deathbird. You've done a couple of Netflix things.
I've got A Tale Dark and Grim on Netflix, which is a great children's series. A bunch of different dubbings, like Girls in the Back is one of the dubbing shows that I did on Netflix, and video games. I'm not supposed to mention it because we're on strike, but I have like video games out there, and like
they exist.
They exist.
Yeah.
And all kinds of stuff. So just follow along.
Well, that's awesome. And hopefully you'll just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Career wise.
Yes. Please. I mean, the elastic will only stretch so far.
That's why I'm exclusively in shorts and Carhartts. I got my Carhartts bought in every color because I can only shop at farm stores now. But thank you so much. I love you so much.
I love you too.
This is so fun. And thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please keep sharing and tuning in. And we'll see you on the next one. All right. We love you. Goodbye.
Bye.